Hi, I'm Bryan Pride, the Agriculture and Food Security Advisor for Rise Against Hunger.
And I'm Chelsie Kolberg, Nutrition Technical Advisor for Rise Against Hunger.
And we would like to share with you our poster looking at the role that development agencies play in promoting indigenous leafy green vegetables, titled The Responsibility of INGOs to Promote Indigenous Vegetables. So thank you for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy. So our story begins at really looking at how agriculture is food culture. And the value of local knowledge is both the foundation and key to successful food security programming. Local knowledge possesses the understanding of food culture in the community, as well as community farming practices and activities. As much as agriculture is science, agriculture is the culture of food. The relationship people have with their food dictates social norms related to how people eat and share food, but also what foods people are growing. As international development agencies continue to conduct development work across the globe, there's a need to look at current development practices and the impact such practices have on communities and food security status.
There are a multitude of reasons as to why a community experiences food insecurity. At times, it can be caused by poor environmental conditions, a lack of access to quality seeds, inability to access land, violent conflicts, the list goes on. As communities experience a variety of these factors, international development agencies respond with grants, cash vouchers, and sustainable and resilient food security projects. Those responses, however, have the potential to influence communities both positively and negatively. One of the popular responses in food security programming is looking at what types of crops and seeds can be fortified or introduced to communities. While introducing improved or fortified crops can provide initial yield increases or increased nutrient density in foods, there's also the risk that the relationship people have with food starts to change, which can worsen nutrition security. We're going to use a comparison between maize and millet to demonstrate the difference in opinion between foreign crops, like maize, and local or indigenous crops, like millet. A common crop that is encouraged by development agencies in Africa is maize. Because maize is introduced and backed by these international NGOs, it is perceived by project participants that maize is more valuable. Due to this disproportionate high value that's placed on maize, the maize in local markets is more expensive than other grains. But despite its high market price, households will choose maize over other grains because it's believed that maize is the most nutritious grain available. With more attention on maize, the demand for farmers to grow maize goes up, and the demand for farmers to grow millet goes down. As local farmers start to change the crops that they cultivate to meet these increasing demands, there's a higher value placed on maize, or foreign crops. Host country nationals start to reject indigenous or local crops because of the belief that the foreign crops are more nutritious and desirable. And this negative stigma goes beyond just maize. It's seen with leafy green vegetables and other foods. With an increase in negative stigmas towards local foods, development agencies have a vital role in encouraging and promoting local indigenous crops. Advocating for these crops has the power to encourage the consumption of locally available food. Indigenous crops are more affordable, more widely available, and more nutritious. Something else happens too. As these foreign crops become more available, the food culture within communities changes. And this change leads to adapted taste buds and also a change in gut flora. The altered gut microbiome leads to poorer health outcomes compared to gut microbiomes that are adapted to local crops.
NGOs have the ability to play a significant role in encouraging new crops. As development agencies promote and encourage indigenous crops, this also means that the consumption of the indigenous crops will take place. Development agencies can teach the nutritional value of these of these crops, and through the power of education, build knowledge around nutrition. As we build knowledge around nutrition, the negative stigma centered around indigenous foods can be eradicated. We have a couple of methods in which development agencies can encourage the cultivation of indigenous crops and vegetables. One thing that we can do as programmers is build the knowledge about the nutrition of these crops, therefore giving reason as to why it's nutritious and good to consume. The second thing that we can do is work with communities to continue to cultivate these crops. So rather than introducing foreign crops like maize or orange flesh sweet potatoes, we can continue to encourage the consumption of millet, of yams, or even other leafy green crops like moringa. But lastly, we can promote local level seed banks to protect and multiply indigenous seeds. By encouraging farmers to cultivate these crops and to consume these crops, we can also protect these crops from becoming eradicated. And this is something that we're starting to see across Africa. So as we engage in program development, it's important for us to all remember the value of indigenous crops and ensuring that we're actually encouraging the consumption and the growth of these crops, because this is something that we need to preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.